What is going down, everybody? We have a very exciting edition of State of the Franchise coming to you with Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. Jason, we're fresh off the NFL Combine. How are you feeling today on this beautiful Wednesday?
Missing you, missing the experience, missing Jordan, missing the Combine, missing Rob, but glad to be home. When you're away for about a week, it's tough. So I'm actually very happy to be home. And while we're here, some stuff was happening over here as well too. While we were, working our little detective skills in the Combine, trying to ask everybody all the important questions and such. But it's good to be back. Good to see you again, and I'm glad you got home safe.
Absolutely glad to see you made it as well. And we got some. Make sure you tap in with the Ponte.
Oh, let's go.
Spicy Squad.
Spicy Squad. We got new members of the Spicy Squad. Listen,
get in there.
If you haven't yet, please subscribe to that. Make sure that you like this video on both of our channels. Subscribe to both channels. But when you join the Spicy Squad and we start doing call-in shows next week, the Spicy Squad will have the first access to do call-in shows when we start doing them. So shout out to all of you guys that have joined so far, man. It's been great to see the engagement with that.
Absolutely. But let's talk about some of the news, and we'll get into absolutely the Jimmy Garoppolo conversation because how would we not? But let's talk about some NFC West news. The Seattle Seahawks have traded the boogeyman. He's out the building. Russell Wilson is now a Denver Bronco. 2 first rounds, 2 second rounds. Shelby Harris. Who else did you get? Drew Lock and
Noah Fant.
Noah Fant, which has some dynasty fantasy implications.
He's a baller,
it's a big
man.
haul. So what did you think about the trade? What do you think about the compensation? And how do you feel about not having to face Russell Wilson twice a year like clockwork?
Well, not so fast, my friend. You don't have to race him twice in a year. But guess where the 49ers travel in 2022? So we are not completely free of this, man.
Yes, sir.
Fine. That may be the last time for a while, unless something else happens. But yeah, I as soon as he got traded, I was like, the 49ers play Denver. Like, there's now what? Now what? Like, we still can't get away from it. But hey, look, I think that it's strange. Well, the only thing that's strange to me is the way the circumstances happen, right? We find out that Aaron Rodgers is coming back, and then all of a sudden this gets thrown out there. And then there was a report that kind of contradicts some of the things in the timeline. So let's go through that real quick. So they were saying that Aaron Rodgers was choosing between Denver, Green Bay, and retirement, if that's one of the reports that we heard. And then it comes out that Denver was saying that it didn't matter what happened with Aaron Rodgers, that Russell Wilson was always their target, and things had heated up at the Combine. So I don't really know what to believe in terms of that, because those are different reports, right? Like, they kind of conflict each other. So it's just funny how one thing comes out, then that comes out. So in terms of what they got, I'll be honest with you, Brad. I think Seattle was very dumb in this trade in terms of what they got. And here's why. They sent a pick. You don't send a pick. You're
they sent a fourth.
You sent a fourth? I would send you nothing.
Oh, we need a fourth to be able to get this done. It's
I don't know, man. We can
do this.
We could send you this quarterback who's really good at rapping Jeezy on the sidelines, which he is. And I have to stop evaluating quarterbacks like that, man, because he went to the top of my. I was like, all right. I was like, oh man. I was like, Drew Lock is the one now.
To the moon.
Just because he knows the words to put on by Jeezy and Kanye,
Yeah.
But yeah, so you mentioned Noah Fant. Noah Fant's a baller, but as of right now, he's been very much just potential, right? Like, from Iowa, everybody knows that the skill set, everybody knows the kid can play. But like, why did Denver feel that? I mean, Denver got away with getting Russell Wilson. They just gave away their quarterback. That's done. He wasn't going to do anything. Noah Fant is like, yeah, that's a premium talent, but he hasn't really proved anything. And then the picks, what is it? Two first and 2 seconds, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Seattle, what are you doing? Why are you sending a pick over there? Like, I wouldn't have, and I would have said, take one of those players off and add another pick on there. So I don't know, man. Now it puts them in a spot where the pick at 9 is probably going to be Malik.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think that's got Seattle like in prime position to get Malik. Right. And who knows? Does Malik start? Does Drew Lock start? Do they just let them battle it out at camp? Who knows? We do know that Pete Carroll has a track record of how Russell Wilson became the starter. They had literally thrown the bag at Matt Flynn because of 1 6 touchdown game against the Green Bay Packers. And then Russell Wilson comes in and gets drafted and beats him out, and then the rest is history, as they say. So who knows what's going to happen in terms of this? It feels like a rebuild. And then the worst part is later on you hear about who got released. And that was insane. That was insane. The Bobby Wagner thing I did not see coming at all.
I mean, does that kind of feel like it's a signaling of the end? Like, because when we look at the situation between the 49ers and Seattle, and at one point, I think we would consider, Harbaugh versus Carroll. You had Kaepernick versus Russ. It was just stars versus stars. You had Willis on one side. You had a young Bobby Wagner on the other. It just, just studs everywhere. It was considered at one point probably the highest regard of rivalry.
Right.
And Russell Wilson over that time is 15-4 against the 49ers. 15-4. Now, the 49ers were able to take care of him in 2019, and we understand how that went. Whereas on the brink of getting that 6th ring. But overall, Russell Wilson has owned the 49ers. And do you feel like it's more of an ownage of Russ than the actual Seattle Seahawks themselves? Because my sense from a lot of fans is that with Russell Wilson out the way, feels like anything is possible at this point. It felt like now we get it. Those teams were great back then, right? Fantastic. Talent everywhere. But Russ and the way he can escape out the pocket, create the third down killer, kind of feels like with him out the way, they can be had, it feels like. Do you agree?
I think that's the sense with all 49er fans at this point. How can it not? Russell's gone. Bobby Wagner's gone. So those were like the last blocks of those teams that everybody remembers, right? The rivalry, which, ran so deep. And it's definitely true. Seattle owned the 49ers as long as Russell Wilson was the quarterback, as long as Pete Carroll was the coach, man. Like, it's just facts are facts, right? It hurts. But, that's what made those games this year feel so, like, especially that last one in Seattle, it really made me mad because the 49ers really had a chance to, like, jumpstart that rebuild and kind of just say, we did it to you and it's done. But, yeah, that should just go to show you how tight that rivalry was, how close these teams are in terms of that. But, yeah, it does feel like they can be had at this point. But, all right, I'm not trying to be negative or anything like that, but that I don't really believe. I mean, if they do get Malik, that's fine. I get that. But I don't believe that they're not using what they got to maybe move for someone else. And I don't want to mention that name because I don't want to put it out there.
You don't want to put it out there in the universe?
I don't want that to happen at all.
I already know who you're talking about.
Yeah, no, man. And it's weird because, no, man. Today's Wednesday and Friday, this person has all of his, his day in court, basically, where they're going to figure out where this thing goes from here. And isn't it funny how things kind of work out, right? Like right then. And everybody's trying to get this done before the draft. Everybody's trying to get this done before free agency starts because you can't attract free agents if you don't have a starting quarterback. Like, you can't just say, hey, would you like to come play? Who's your quarterback? Drew Lock? No, I think I'm gonna go entertain another offer, actually. So yeah, Mean Machine. Oh my god. Y'all are tripping, bro.
So maybe he won't be available. Maybe he's already locked up with a 6-year contract from the Mean Machine. Hey, we're gonna find out. But to your point, Seattle has a lot of ammunition. I mean, we look at it, as 49er fans in the NFC West who have had to play against B-Wags and had to play against Russ for a better part of a decade. So we're happy about that. But we also can look at that trade and say, Seattle got a haul. I mean, they did get 2 firsts, 2 seconds. I mean, they essentially have assets that can turn into potentially 7 starters if everything works out. Again, you got to draft them first. You got to develop them. Plus, you got to see what Drew Lock is and what these other guys are. But Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, those are 2 pretty solid players. So although we feel really good that Russ is no more, at least in the NFC West, like you said, there's still some stuff left. There's still a desirable quarterback out there. But again, he has to go through some checks and balances off the field before anyone's going to make a move on a quarterback. But they do have Drew Lock kind of there. They have the 9th overall pick. Well, you talked about Malik Willis. You remember, Jason, we were sitting there in that corner section of the lower bowl in Indianapolis watching the NFL Combine. And who do we see walking down the steps about a section over? Pistol Pete Carroll walking on down. And what day did he come down to sit in those stands? It was the day that the quarterbacks were throwing. He did not touch the lower bowl any other day than that day that the quarterbacks were out on the field. And who did he sit next down to? He sat right next down to Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin.
They brought, he was very tan.
Bro, Lane Kiffin just sleeps in a tanning bed. I'm convinced, bro. This man is a hue of orange.
Dude, he was straight from Cabo or something because he was glowing.
That man ain't left Cabo, it looked like.
But then you have Pete Carroll. Yeah.
Go ahead. No, you got it. I don't want to keep flaming. No, man just looked like a basketball sitting there. I was just like, what the hell is going on with him, bro?
You said it looked like a basketball.
Bro, that color.
Oh, my goodness. Mm-hmm. You're killing me.
No, I'm sorry. Serious stuff. Yeah, but yeah, Pete Carroll did go sit down over there as well.
So he was sitting there watching quarterbacks. Again, you're sitting next to Lane Kiffin, and he brought Matt Corral over there to like say what's up. To hey, look at Pete. This might be your future quarterback, or this might be your future head coach. Again, I think it's up for debate. I think one of the things that we've talked about with the quarterback movement is this class of incoming rookies. There's a lot of questions. I think there's some talent there, and I think Malik has the highest ceiling. But then you look at guys like Matt Corral, who has played with DK Metcalf. There clearly is a connection there. Who knows? Who knows who it could be? Who knows what they do? But it feels like the Seattle Seahawks have set themselves up for multiple options, does it not?
Absolutely. The world's their oyster at this point. I mean, they can stick at 9, just draft Malik, who I think is the QB1. And then you figure out between those two guys what it is. You know, are you going to start Locke, see what you got with him, or try that? Yeah, man, that color, he looked just like that. I'm like, what the hell? I was like, what is? Yeah, exactly, yo. But yeah, I mean, they can do many things. The 9th overall pick, I mean, that's enough right there to make someone do something crazy, especially if they covet Malik. Like, what if Pittsburgh covets Malik like that, and they want to move up? I think 9 is where you've got to get to now at this point, to make a good shot at him, and that changes that as well too. So there's so many things that can happen. Would they use those picks and ship them off for the guy that I don't want to name because I don't want to put that out into the universe? It would be probably worst case scenario. Or do they have somebody jump up for Malik and they try to rebuild, with other picks and move down a little bit? They can do anything that they want at this point. And that's the part that is a little worrisome for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be a moving target for the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, the 49ers have some moves to make themselves. They have a nice piece who clearly will be coveted here pretty soon. Let's talk about the Carson Wentz trade, because clearly we don't really have to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Like, I think it was becoming more clear, especially leading into the combine and in the combine. It really felt like he was just going to stay in Green Bay. And they did. They got it done. They got the deal done. They're able to keep Devontae Adams as well. The two stay together in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest quarterback chip to fall, because they needed to decide, is he going to go to Denver? Is he going to go elsewhere? He stays at home at Green Bay, and then the Russell information and the Russell trade occurs because Denver pivots. They go off of Aaron Rodgers. They put their sights on Russ. We've heard the stories. They signaled that about a week ago, and they discussed that all throughout the combine. Deal was done at the combine. So who knows? When we saw Pete Carroll down there in the stands, they might already known what was going down. So that leads to today. Today, Carson Wentz is moved from the Colts. What have you and I heard, Jason, all week from the combine regarding the Colts, regarding Jimmy, regarding Carson? What are some of the things that we heard leading up until this move that happened today?
Jordan, me, you, and Rob, and anyone in earshot of anybody was here. Like, there was no bones about what was happening with Carson Wentz. Nobody sugarcoated anything. Everyone was just straight up, it's done. It's over. They're done. And all of those things, The Athletic literally just came out with their article that said they didn't like his leadership ability. They didn't like the play on the field. And wow, wouldn't you know? Literally, that's what every single scout, GM, doorman, Uber driver, or person, security person, was talking about. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all that was being, and it was nobody was saying it under their breath. It was a fact that entire time.
Yeah.
Like, and it was just out there. People were just like knowing that was what was going on. So I wasn't shocked at that. The only thing was really figuring out is what were they going to do. Some didn't know if he was going to be outright released or if they were going to have a trade partner. That's not the part. But it was right there in plain sight. Everybody talking about he's cooked. Like, he's done here. They don't want him here anymore, and they want to move on. So yeah, that was right there in front of us the whole time. That's what just everybody was talking about. So like when we started sending out tweets about that, it wasn't our opinion. It's just based on when you hear it from one GM, when you hear it from an Indiana beat writer, when you hear it from another scout, all from different places, all the same things. It's pretty much right there for you. So yeah, I mean, they just had to make a move. You know, they move him out of the conference, which seems to be something that a lot of these quarterbacks would want. I mean, these teams would do with quarterbacks at this point. I mean, not that, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to disrespect Carson Wentz or anything like that. He didn't have a particularly good season in my mind. And then if you leave him in the AFC, are you really worried about Carson Wentz coming to get you? But I mean, I guess, you know, it looks like Washington was very aggressive with that. And Ron Rivera spoke at length many times while we were there about, you know, wanting a quarterback, wanting to get it stable. And he also is in a position where it's a results-based business at the end of the day. If you're not winning games, then, you know, Dan Snyder might Dan Snyder you and just, you know, and I don't care what name change, it's still Dan Snyder. So you're still in that chaotic environment. So I think Ron's feeling a little bit of the pressure. Now, will this decision be the last decision that he gets to be a part of? Because if it doesn't work and Carson Wentz looks anything like he did in Indianapolis, I don't think they're going to win many games. But if he does get this right, then they can talk about it. The only thing that's a little bit baffling about this is that they traded 2/3 and took the contract. So you traded 2 third-round picks, because those aren't throwaways. You traded 2/3 and you took the $28 million on the chin. That's insane, man. If I'm
one of those thirds can turn into a second as well.
Second, yeah. So if I'm sending 2/3, you're picking up more than 65-70% of his check. Like, and that's just good business at this point. So I don't understand what that was in that way. But again, I'm not a GM. Maybe I think that I read something that they can cut him after a year and get no dead money. So I think that's why they're kind of, and think about it, right? Jimmy makes what, 27? Right? Like he makes 28.
27.
Right there in the same,
against
27,
Cap.
28. Right. Same thing. So like that's the thing. So I guess that's the one good thing about it. But to send 2/3 for a guy that you're really essentially trying to evaluate in a year and then go by year with him, I don't know if I would have done that.
I mean, I think we understand. It's the Commanders. They really are limited in regards to what they can get. I don't think anyone would go out of their way to willfully play for them unless the money was right and or they had no choice. And I don't know if Carson really had much say in the matter. Again, it's being they keep coming out with initial reports. According to reports, Carson Wentz wanted to meet with Jim Irsay to clear the air. Irsay declined. He said, no, thank you. He said, the ship has sailed, Mr. Wentz. So what's been interesting and what we heard leading up through the week, again, we hung out with Indy beat reporter Nate Atkins. He spent a lot of time with us, great guy, and gave us a lot of insight into how he's been covering the team. And one of the things that he was talking about nonstop about Carson Wentz was the Monday to Saturday. Again, we look at how players perform on Sunday, and a lot of people just evaluate through that lens on the field, and rightfully so. But we understand this is a business, and you got to come into the building likely Monday through at least Friday, but you're damn near with your team, employees, Monday through Saturday. And everything that we're hearing is it sounds like he just wasn't that leader, he was a bit defiant. You know, we're hearing all this stuff, and of course we will when someone's traded and they want to justify why. Again, that's the big thing. But does that make you feel like a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo, who maybe on Sunday could leave a little bit to be desired from a skill set standpoint in certain instances, but if there's anything that we've learned about this past year, he is probably A++ as a leader, as a locker room guy, as a guy who's in the huddle, who can command a huddle, keep everyone calm. And we talk about it. Like, he might make mistakes here or there, but how they talk about him is he elevates everyone else, even though he might not be perfect. So does that kind of feel like could be just a perfect fit to go from Jimmy Garoppolo to get traded to Indianapolis? He's already got a buddy in the locker room in DeForest Buckner, who's probably saying all the right things internally because they love Jimmy. And clearly, the leadership with Carson Wentz was a massive issue that they couldn't overcome. So, do you think Jimmy makes sense and fits what the Indianapolis Colts are trying to accomplish?
But I'll tell you what, it's really funny when you talk to, I got the chance to talk with the Colts fan base as, we took Ubers everywhere. And what are you in town for? The combine, or you're a Colts guy? Cool. So it's so funny to have the differing opinions on Jimmy Garoppolo through the lens of a 49ers fan and a Colts fan.
Yeah, it's so different.
49ers fans, one way or another, we've already talked about it. It's extreme. Either you love Jimmy or you hate Jimmy. There's no in between. Even when you say that every single time that he's somewhere in between, you're still not in between. That makes you a Jimmy lover or whatever. Like the way this thing has completely gotten out of hand. But when you ask Colts fans, oh, I like him. The guy has a way about him. He wins games. Literally, these are the words from many fans over and over. Then when we started to talk to some of the people there, we asked the same sort of question, and it seemed like they coveted him. Like the Colts were thinking about him, and it felt like the energy was switching that way. And I said something last night on the Sprint Right Option podcast, but I'm going to say it again because I feel even more confident in it. If Jimmy Garoppolo started 17 games, 16 games for the Indianapolis Colts last year, they make the playoffs. Oh, yeah. Funny thing enough is they probably lose that game on Sunday Night Football against the 49ers. Right? That's the only game I would flip out.
Versus Trey Lance?
Yeah. But they wouldn't. I can
see that.
In the rain? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In the rain,
yeah.
Yes.
Trey would have went crazy.
Yep. But they wouldn't have lost that Jaguars game. And they wouldn't have folded in two of the other three games. The Raiders game, that Raiders game that he played in, he was out the entire week because of the COVID that he got in. He was able to bounce right back because of the new CDC guidelines. But that rubbed him a lot of a wrong way, right? About that. He couldn't prepare during the week for that entire week. So that's why it's not about the vaccine as much as just that your choice now is affecting the team. It's not about that. It's not political. It's nothing like that. This is all the things that they were saying to us, that they were frustrated during that week. They had to win that game against the Raiders, that he wasn't there to prepare. And that was because of the choice he made. Plenty of people on that team are unvaccinated. That's not the point. And nobody cares. Everybody has your own choice. But the thing is that they were annoyed that it ended up messing with their season. That's it. Like, that's bottom line, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it just seems like they coveted Jimmy, man. Like they really do. And they had nothing but good things to say about him. So it's really funny when you hear a Colts fan say that about Jimmy, and you hear, the differing opinions as a 49ers fans. It's crazy that he's viewed this way around the league. When we even talk to some of the front office guys.
Yeah, man. People like Jimmy. 49er fans don't. But you go outside our bubble of 49er fans, people have a different perspective of Jimmy Garoppolo. Again, players have a much different perspective about Jimmy Garoppolo, and rightfully so, because again, we get so caught up on what he does individually with his arm. How do we evaluate how good of a leader he is? How do we evaluate how he manages a huddle? How do we evaluate how he manages the locker room? We can't. We just have to take what people tell us for their word, and that's how we go about it. And so people they see what they see, and that's it. But we understand there's so much more to this game. The human element is huge. Again, it's clearly proving time again that the human element is massive in regards to success in the NFL. Massive, to the point where statistically, through grades, Carson Wentz appears by all metrics to be a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. But the Colts just said, nah, you're not.
I wouldn't. And I'll give you a little pushback on that too, man. I think that in terms of what they're going to do in this offense, and you know this, right? They would have had the best running back in the world that season. Jonathan Taylor, all world. That offensive line is dogs, right? But I think a lot of the things that Frank Reich would like to really implement are the things that Jimmy Garoppolo does well in the short area game, in the intermediate game.
Yes.
So now you're talking about running the ball, good protection, short passes, defense, And it always felt like he's a better fit for them. That's why I'll say that Jimmy Garoppolo, if he was the quarterback this year for them, they would have made the playoffs. They wouldn't have folded like that at the end. I don't think
they would have beat the Jags, man.
They would have beat the Jags.
Jimmy
They would have won
beat the Jags. He beat the brakes off the Jags week 11.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, it's just from everything that was said, it's just everybody was really just annoyed with it. It was a buildup, right? Like they could take certain things. Okay, fine, that's fine, until it's really started to affect them and they flamed out. That team was too good. I implore people to watch the Hard Knocks in the season with the Colts too. Like the way that season came apart, episode to episode, like with those games, because you get to watch them play through the games and everything. It was shocking. Yeah. So, and that's the other thing, Brad. The combine taught me this. Measurables, play on the field, or stats, measurables, things like that. Yeah, that's part of the puzzle. But the human part, because John Lynch spoke at length about what was missing last year from the draft process, which was having FaceTime with people and understanding, how that person is, matching, seeing their energy, how quickly they can pick things up. Some of these guys, man, they have all the measurables, but they'll bomb the interview. And and that's what we got told about DK Metcalf. And I couldn't believe like that not that I couldn't believe it, but that someone would be in that position to raise his stock by simply answering questions, being cordial, showing appreciation and being humble. You can raise your draft stock, but if you're not any of those things, there's no reason for DK Metcalf to be taking that as low in the second round. But apparently, a lot of that had to do with his attitude in these interviews. So many guys get pushed up with good interviews. You can shoot yourself in the foot with a bad interview, and I think that's what you're talking about with the human element. That's the start. But remember, scout the player, but scout the person. How do you do that, right? Like, and that's the thing. Like, that's the part that really stuck out to me this week.
Yeah. To be really good at this job, you have to have a psychological element to it. You have to be able to identify behavior, identify patterns, and be able to understand, like, is this guy just being cool now, or is this something when crap hits the fan, what's he going to look like? How's he going to respond? How's he going to react? What lens is he going to view things through? And how is he going to move? That's a big part of it. And a big part of that with Kayvon Thibodeau, the defensive end out of Oregon, I talked to a couple people, and again, the talent is not the problem with that man. Thibodeau is a beast. Like, on that field, off the edge, he is a freak, and he has all the traits, physical traits and tools you need to be an elite edge rusher in the NFL. However, when you talk to people, what do they talk about that guy and why he's sliding down the board, why Aiden Hutchinson's rising up the board? It's the personality difference. Thibodeau, again, we tried to talk to him. We were standing right behind him, less than 2 feet away from him as he was getting his, taking his shoes off. He just done the drills, done the 40. The combine was over. We just were like saying, like, hey man, you killed it out there. Like, good job. And he just like everyone we talked to, player, former player, media personality, scout, coach, was really great and just kind of opened up, right? And
Anybody
just talk to us. Anyone.
Think of anyone.
Thibodeau did not. He just was like, he's like, don't talk to me. Which at one point I do understand. I get it. You just worked your ass off. This is a job interview of a lifetime. You got some randoms behind you saying like, hey man, like, good job. Like, okay, maybe you're not going to be super receptive to that, but it does match what we have heard from people who know about him, who have worked with him, and why he's being perceived and sliding. So the human element, it's big time, man. It is big because all that talent's great. But you know the saying, hard work beats, or what is it? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Doesn't work hard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what it comes down to. And so, and we understand, especially teams like the 49ers, they put high value into high character guys. And it's for a reason. That's why they always talk about the locker room the way they do. So just something to think about when, when you see the Colts move off of a quarterback for personality issues, and then you got a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo right there. What do you think? I mean, we're seeing the way the compensation is working, right? We've already talked about what Russ was able to get, in a trade via the Broncos, what the Seattle Seahawks were able to acquire. We've also seen what Washington was able to acquire. What do you think Jimmy Garoppolo will command based on seeing these trades go down for these quarterbacks. And before you answer, if you're in the chat, make sure you're liking Jason's video right here. Boom, boom, right here. Jason Aponte. And this video.
From the first shot. I got a first shot.
I messed it up like 4 times. Like this video over at Jason Ponte's channel. Like this video over here at the SF Niners. But then, Jason, now let us know. What do you think Jimmy can get out there in the open market? Now that we're seeing the dominoes fall.
At least a second and a third. And if that comes with the full financial burden going to that team, then I think that's a slam dunk and you walk away with it. Second and a third, that could possibly be a conditional, something like that in this way. I mean, you just watched the Commanders pay up for Carson Wentz a pretty penny, man. And I just literally told you that I believe that he would be a better fit, than he would have. So you have to believe that other people are starting to see that play out. And what if there is some sort of bidding compensation war, right? Going what are the Steelers going to do? Like it's starting to dry up pretty fast because
New Orleans is talking about maybe being someone who's interested.
I think that Jameis goes back to New Orleans, man. That makes too much sense. I don't understand why they would let that happen. But then the funny thing is just make it happen. Go bring him back. The funny thing is for me though is what happens with the Bucks whenever Jimmy Garoppolo gets traded. Now, what do they do? Teddy, Mitchell Trubisky, Deshaun Watson? I mean,
we were hearing Nick Foles potentially.
I mean, Nick Foles kind of makes a lot of sense to the Colts, actually, too, the Frank Reich connection, because maybe the Colts, I mean, I believe that Jimmy's going there. I do believe that that's where it's going to end up, happening. And, I just hope I'm not going to get killed for it, when it's wrong. But
right.
But what if the Colts take the approach of saying, "Hey, we'll take Foles and we'll save that money and we'll also invest." I believe they have something like $70 million in cap now after they moved off of this Wentz deal. So
they have lots of
so
money.
what approach do they take at this point? But that for me would feel a little bit short-sighted because you can have Jimmy Garoppolo and actually make the playoffs. Nick Foles' floor is way lower than Jimmy Garoppolo's. I think we can all agree with that. So. It's just gonna be
that much either.
It's just gonna be interesting to figure out how this goes because Jimmy's the next one. I mean, he's at the top of this tier right now of who's available. I mean, I don't think that's debatable. Not Teddy. No disrespect to any of these guys. Jimmy's better than them all. So you should get a little bit more for it. And now people are gonna have to realize that this is the last thing. This is the last one. And then you're gonna be deep diving.
Absolutely. Shout out the Niner guy for the $10 super chat. We appreciate you, my boy. He says, "What's up, fellas? Did you hear the reports? Jimmy trade talks will be heating up around the draft. Feels like if they wanted to trade him, they may need to wait again because we did find out yesterday that Jimmy Garoppolo had the shoulder surgery on the throwing arm. Do you see that being so? Let me finish. Seattle file sale underway. Let's go. Do you see them potentially kicking back towards the draft, or is it a situation where these teams don't have how am I trying to say? They don't have the ability to be patient because if they're one seems like, oh, we're going to wait till the draft. What's going to stop someone else from being like, oh, well, here's our window. If you guys aren't going to pull the trigger, we will. So do you think there is a scenario that exists where they wait towards the draft, or do you think it actually happens sooner rather than later?
I think it happens sooner than later. You have to remember free agency is about to start. And if you're trying to lure a wide receiver, you're trying to lure a blue chip player, and you're saying, oh, we think we're gonna get Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe. That doesn't make me want to sign there. And you have to get this done before free agency because then those other quarterbacks become free agents and then they'll have landing places and they can just be signed and such. So this has to happen now. This has to happen sooner than later. If they wait till the draft, it's only going to get worse, I think. And I think that they'll be missing out because then that means that they haven't been getting any offers. Again, Jimmy's at the top of the available free agent quarterbacks right now. He is. I mean, he's
number one right now.
Yeah, he just is, guys. That's what's available right now. So, I think that it has to happen sooner than later because you're not able to pitch other people in offers like come sign with us, come ball with us. Well, who's your quarterback? Oh, I don't know. It's
come play with Sam Ellinger here with the Colts.
Exactly. It's Mason Rudolph. Hey, look, if Ellinger doesn't work out, we'll roll Jacob Eason out there. I'd be like, yes, sign the dotted line. No, you can't.
Yeah,
You
right?
can't bring in people at all, right? Like unless you have you have to have the quarterback in place,
good
right?
luck.
So I think that's why not.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a fantastic.
Don't worry. Don't worry. If Drew Lock doesn't work out, Geno Smith's right behind him, dude.
Don't worry.
Don't
not
worry,
worry.
man. We got this quarterback thing down.
Yeah, we got to figure it out. Chris Royal says, again, appreciate you, Chris, for the super chat. He says, if Peyton was still the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Jimmy would have the most success. With him gone, I think he would do pretty well on the Colts. How do you think he would fare on the Colts? You think that's a good fit for Jimmy?
It's a perfect fit for Jimmy, and I think that Chris is spot on here. I mean, if it was Sean Payton and he was put in that position because Drew Brees for the latter part of his career was very accurate, clearly, but everything was short in the middle. He can scheme it up. You get that ball out of the backfield to Alvin Kamara, let him work. You know, we all know that. You know, everybody calls Michael Thomas slant boy. It works out perfectly, right? But that's under Sean Payton.
I didn't think about that. That would be
so.
perfect.
That's under Sean. That's under Sean Payton. That's not under Dennis Allen. So I think that's a fantastic point, Chris. And I think that he's primed to be fine for the Colts, man. They're going to run the hell out of the ball. They got a great offensive line. They're going to play defense. Frank Reich's going to put them in spots to win. They're going to be aggressive on fourth down. And when you look at that division, what is it? Houston, Tennessee, and Jacksonville. They definitely are a playoff team, I think, under Jimmy Garoppolo if they have everybody healthy for the full season.
Yeah, man, you just look at the Colts, the way they're set up with Jonathan Taylor. They could literally hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor every play and probably still win games. And you got Michael Pittman. Yeah, Jack Doyle retired, but you can get some tight ends in there. You can
they'll bring a wide receiver in.
Yeah, and they got money. They got
money, a lot of money,
Jason. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be able, if you can bring in that QB, and again, the way people view Jimmy Garoppolo in the NFL is much different than the 49er fan base.
Yep, that was shocking. That was the biggest development.
Ooh, shocker. There's a lot of respect for Jimmy around the league and for what he's done, how he managed last year with Trey Lance coming in. Jimmy's proven that if you want to draft a quarterback, he's going to be that guy that will be able to manage that situation, who's already been through it. If you keep it 100 with him, he'll probably be able to be in lockstep with you if that's what you want to do. But I think him on the Colts, like you've talked about, they're in the playoffs last year. They're probably going to make it in the playoffs this year. So one of the things that we have to keep in mind is we also understand that the 49ers want to do right by Jimmy. And that feels like a very natural fit. Now, we're going to find out if that's going to happen. We'll see. Shout out Edgar for the $2 super sticker. Appreciate you, my boy. Dean 49ers says, I knew it was a wrap for Wentz when Pittman wouldn't give up his number for him. I remember that.
I wouldn't have either. That 11 is cold.
It was. Everywhere he goes, he's a problem. Jimmy will help Indy's culture. Do you have a response to that? Kind of talked about it a little bit.
Dean just spitting. That's all. That's it. I mean, honestly, somebody cut this and load this and somebody DM it to the Colts because if they need some good press and they need we got for you. For a small price of your second and your conditional third and some cap relief, you could have this leader in your locker room leading you to victories, man. Like
I want more, Jason. I'm gonna be honest. I want more than that.
Hey, I would love to get more. I would love to get more than that, but let's start talking, okay, Colts? Like let's go. Like today, tomorrow, let's get it done. Don Yee, man, you've been putting out stuff throughout the internet through sources. Make it happen already, bro. Like let's go. Get to work.
Absolutely, make it work. Let's poll the chat. Chat, let us know if the 49ers were to trade Jimmy Garoppolo to the Indianapolis Colts, understanding, they don't have a first round pick. Do they even have a second? I don't even know. I think they might have just gave that up. We'll see. But what would you think that Jimmy Garoppolo could require or obtain in a trade? Drop it in the chat. We'll pull some of your guys' ideas up.
I have a super serious, real one that I think really can actually happen and should happen, I think. And it wouldn't be wrong on the Colts' part to do this. Okay? Mm-hmm. It would be Jimmy Garoppolo for DeForest Buckner, Quentin Nelson, and Jonathan Taylor
Oh, you knock it off.
With throwing in a third. I think that's very fair, and I think we should get that
With
deal
throwing
done
it
immediately.
Stop.
For the small price of all of your good players, basically. You can have Jimmy Garoppolo on your team.
Hey, let's get default back. DeForest
That's
for
it.
Jimmy G. Who says no?
Yeah, I mean,
You know who says
you know what's
no.
funny?
You don't
You
even
know
have
what's
to
funny?
answer that. It's
You know
rhetorical.
what's funny is Defo is probably over there. They probably asked Buckner the entire time, like, "What's up with Jimmy?" And they'll be like, "Yo, we love him, man. Like, I would love him here. Like,
Guaranteed.
he's probably been, yeah." So, I mean, it helps, man. Helps.
Guaranteed Buckner is playing the role, doing everything for Jimmy on the inside, giving insight to what he could be. Again, everyone's kind of in the same category. I selfishly want more. I'm trying to figure out how we get more. We'll see. We'll
Ooh, third
see
round
though.
pick and rock. I like that.
So as you can see, it feels like everyone's kind of in the same category, which makes a lot of sense. Jesse's like me. He wants 4 firsts. I agree.
Hell yeah.
Give me the
Hell
4
yeah.
firsts for Jimmy. For
Hell yeah.
instant playoffs, worth it.
What are you talking about, man? You can have a Disney prince as a quarterback, man. You know how nice that is, man? What are you doing, man?
Oh man, Jimmy would take over Indy, dude. Jimmy would
yeah.
be the king of Indy. They would love him there.
Close to
They
home
would
too,
absolutely love him
Chicago.
there. Absolutely. Now again, we're pretty focused on Indianapolis, but do you think there is a realm of possibility that a sneaker team gets in here, maybe makes a shot at it, or do you think it just really feels like it's really just aligning with the Colts?
I mean, it feels like Indy, but anything could change. So I mean, I would say
Of
the other two
course.
teams that are sleepers, Carolina
Yes.
and oh goodness gracious, and Pittsburgh. But
Yes.
Carolina is one to keep your eye on. You know, who knows what
Yes.
they're
They're
thinking at this
desperate.
point. And you know what's funny? The little wild card in all of this is what goes on Friday in court, right? Because you make a move now, right? Shout out to Chris. You make a move now for Garoppolo, right? And then Friday, let's just say Deshaun Watson's exonerated completely. And what does that mean? That means literally like 28 teams are gonna start foaming at the mouth trying to get on the phone, like and start
Yeah.
calling for him, right? Like,
Yeah.
so is that what the Bucks are waiting for? What if the Carolinas waiting for that? What if the Steelers are waiting for that? So I don't know. Like that's why I don't know. I don't think that the Colts would be the team that would be in on that, because obviously the Texans aren't going to trade them in the division. But are they in the same division? They aren't. My bad. Sorry about that. But yeah, I don't know about that one. So yeah, that's a wild card right there, the Deshaun Watson thing.
It really is. It really is. But again, I feels like there's still another like layer, even if we find out the information and it is positive for Deshaun Watson. What is Goodell gonna do? Is he gonna still get suspended? Is like what does that look like? What is the league gonna do in that situation? Because we haven't even crossed that bridge. We're dealing with like it through the legal system, and you know the 49ers, or not the 49ers, the league is pretty adamant about protecting their image. So I would imagine there could also be some sanctions or whatever you want to call it
8-game
come
suspension,
down.
something like that.
Yeah,
What if we
something.
found out? So what if we found out? Let's just throw the scenario out there. You're a GM.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
find out that Deshaun Watson's going to get 8 games. You get a chance to talk with Deshaun Watson. You get his side of the story. You're comfortable with that. Would you just take the 8 games and just to have a 25-year-old stud quarterback like for the rest of your time if you can make it
If I
work?
could get him out of value, now I'd understand I'd still have to give up a good amount of compensation. But if I can get like let's say half of the Russ deal, maybe even a quarter of the Russ deal, I could chill for 8 games. I could, especially if we're not in a situation where we have to make the playoffs this year. If you're going to a team that maybe has an outlook of a two-year rebuild, maybe a 3-year rebuild where they are going to be heading in a direction where they do want to compete, but maybe not this year, 8 games is not that big of a deal. Especially now a 17-game season. You can turn it around quickly. I mean, we saw the 49ers go 3-5 and be able to turn it around down the stretch. If you can go 3-5, with whichever quarterback you have and a backup, and all of a sudden Deshaun Watson knows your system. He comes right in, doesn't skip a beat. and you're off to the races. You can transform your year completely just like that. So
just saying, it's a wild card, man. It really is.
it
Just
is.
because, look, I'm not gonna comment on the off the field stuff, and obviously what has been said is very disturbing. Again, I'm not gonna play, judge, jury, executioner. I don't know. That's not for me to decide. But we're gonna find out Friday, and obviously those are very serious things that need to be talked about. I'm not dismissing that in any way, because if any of those things are true, then football be damned. Nobody cares about that. I'm just talking about him as a football player and what sort of value it is to be a 25-year-old kid who has played the game at the highest level and is a very smart young man in terms of knowing football. I implore anybody to go back and watch his press conference where he explained the coverages to the beat writer pretty elegantly. He wasn't talking down to him or anything like that. Was just, explaining to him why he didn't take a shot on this play, why he didn't take a shot on that play. And he's all-world talent. So, I mean, that's the thing is, not disrespecting Jimmy Garoppolo, but Deshaun Watson is different. Like that's going to force people to be a little bit more desperate, because you realize what you can have with him if, obviously all that other stuff goes away.
Absolutely. And look at Do It All Debbie, man. She is the real MVP.
I love Deb.
I'm telling you, she is the best. She says, I'm so surprised to see over 400. Again, we got split streams going. And she said, I'm only seeing 100 likes. That like button. Absolutely. Shout out, Deb. We appreciate you. She's our 49er queen. We see you. And again, hit both the channels. Again, we're doing a dual stream. Like up both. We would really appreciate it. And again, shout out the legend.
Thank you, Debbie. Can't wait to get back out there and see you at camp or at a game or something like that. I appreciate you so much.
Absolutely. And I still got to meet Deb. I can't wait to do that. I'm jealous that you got to meet her and I haven't got to meet her.
I haven't gotten a chance to meet her yet. No, I haven't. That's why I'm interested to make sure that I do next year.
Absolutely. We absolutely got to. Shout out Deb. She is the freaking best. And everyone knows this already. Everyone knows this. Oh, look who it is. Good to see you, Don.
My God,
how you show?
How are you feeling about Sam Howell as your new draft pick?
And his wide receiver 1, Mr. Reynolds, Josh Reynolds. Come on down.
Stack him. Stacked roster. And the Sun God, Lions are coming for everybody.
God damn. I freaking love it. Let's talk a little bit about some free agency stuff. We talked a lot about the quarterback. And again, if something goes down, you know where to turn to for instant analysis and reaction right here with Jason Aponte and the SF Niners. But yesterday, it was reported, and this is something that I know you and we've both talked about. I know it's something that we've been asked from our viewers, from our followers, something we've spent time on. The 49ers, according to Jordan Schultz of, I believe, Sports Illustrated or ESPN, one of the two, is reporting the 49ers will have legitimate interest in free agent cornerback J.C. Jackson. React.
I want to believe it. I do. I really do. I really do want to believe this. I do. But this would be the sign of a complete philosophy shift in terms of how the 49ers get their cornerbacks. It's either they draft them later on or they bargain bin dive and bet on somebody who either is coming off an injury, doesn't have much of a market, but you're betting on the talent that you can get that out of there. Look, I would love for this to be true, but you have to move a lot of money away to even make this happen. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, see, this is why this has to happen now. If you want that, you need this right now.
Yes.
Right away. So that's the thing. That's why you can't wait till the draft. You had to get this money off the books. JC Jackson's not going to last until April 28th. That's not happening. Like, You've got to get this done. You got to, if this is what you really want, then this feels sooner than later, the Jimmy thing. If that's something that's true, if the 49ers are interested in JC Jackson, then this Jimmy thing has to happen either tonight or tomorrow at the latest. You have to get this done now at this point. You cannot wait around. So I want to believe it. I want to believe that there's a philosophy change, but I also if you are interested in this, you have to make the first move happen first. Like, and that's the thing.
Absolutely. And it again, we have polled, we have been on the front lines, we have been talking with 49er faithful. We haven't stopped. That's what we do. And when you ask them, what do you want from a positional standpoint, free agency, draft? What do you want? They want elite cornerback play. They want a top guy. So with these reports that JC Jackson could be it's the opposite. The 49ers could be interested in him. It is interesting, but again, to match a lot of the comments that are saying, with what money? We don't have any money right now because it's all tied up in Jimmy Garoppolo. You have guys like Eric Armstead, who I think are holding in the range of a $20 million cap hit. You have guys like Jimmy Ward, who could potentially get extended. You could also restructure Eric, right? And you can kick more money back down the line. And then once you move Jimmy, again, it's I'm not a capologist. When we went into free agency last year, we had Trent Williams who needed to be signed. We had Jason Verrett who needed to be signed.
Juice.
We had Kyle Juszczyk who needed to be signed. We had a laundry list of players that needed to get re-signed. And we went in with, I think, like approximately 15 million available cap space. We gave Trent Williams the biggest bag that any left tackle's ever received. If I'm not mistaken, we made Juice the highest paid fullback, or close to being the highest paid fullback. And we paid Jason Verrett. Jason Verrett came back, and we paid X guy. We got DJ Jones back. We got Kwaski back. We added Samson Ebukam. They bring in Arden Key eventually, and they brought in guys, and they ended up with more cap space when it was all said and done. So I'm not a capologist. I can't rationally wrap my head around and be like, oh, we don't have that much money, but then we throw the bag at all these players. Well, look, based on the restructuring and the way the money's moved, we actually have more cap space now. So it's going to be a moving target. The 49ers are going to have a lot of things to do, but do they become a destination with a young quarterback like Trey Lance? You got Kittle. You got Deebo Samuel, who's absolutely taken over the league. You got Nick Bosa. You got Fred Warner. I mean, we got a nice core. Do the 49ers become a very attractive destination for other free agents? And maybe a guy like J.C. Jackson does want to come on over.
Right. And even with Trey Lance, this team could still be considered in the NFC, this wide open NFC now at this point, one of the top teams. Like this is like the NFC right now is just, there's a hierarchy, and then there's just nothing in them, or just like mid, or things that you have no idea about, right? So I think, realistically, we can say off the top of our head, the Rams would be at the top right now at this point. What doesn't make the 49ers in that same conversation, but we have to figure out how these rosters shake out. So for sure, I mean, there's a world where, you can go to the 49ers and get paid. Also, you're joining with the chance to be in the playoffs, make a deep playoff run, and who knows from there. So I think all of those things are true. But again, you've got to move off of Jimmy right now. You have to move off of him before free agency starts, so you can, the first day, ink your deal, and you have your money, and you start to put your plan in motion, because you also have to not only add through free agency, you've got to retain some of your guys as well too. You can't lose all of them. Like, I don't suspect that they're going to lose all 29 or 32. I forget what the number is for free agents. Like, I believe there was something that came out that said that Juwan Jennings is already brought back. They brought him back, and there's a few other guys that they were able to at least like say that they're signing. I don't know if that's true, or if maybe I just made that up in my head because I haven't been sleeping much. But
I saw that too, but I haven't seen it confirmed from anyone.
Right. From anyone. Right. Okay. So that's why. Okay, cool. Per sources. Got it. So but the 49ers have to move off, and they have to get this money ready for a free agency so they can make the pitches to guys, so they know that they're not going to be stepping into some sort of well, is Jimmy going to go, or is he going to stay another year? Like, what are we doing here? Like, you have to have a clear, defined outline that you want to pitch to free agents about what your direction is. And I think that goes for every team, not just the 49ers.
Absolutely. And Jason and I will continue to monitor what's going down in regards to clearly something that we think could pop at any moment. But Mr. Young says, Brad and Jason, how's the food and drinks down in Indy? What was one of your favorite places to vibe at, Jason? I mean, let's talk a little bit of Combine. There's plenty of rumors, and we're going to be talking about rumors quite a bit. But it was a good time down there in Indy, my guy.
It was. I'm so basic though. Like the things that like I went to the same place like 2-3 times. I think Yard House.
Yard House. The Yolk. Like, the Yolk was fire though. Breakfast spot.
Yolk was good. That was a good breakfast spot for sure. I went to another place too. That was a breakfast spot that was really good. I forget the name of it, but it was like great mimosas, great time. Like honestly, Indy had good food. It's a lot of steakhouses. So like if you're going to those steakhouses, you're putting that bread up to like have one of those. Brad had one of those like $3 million steaks and everything as well too.
Oh yeah, like, St. Elmo's. I had to stop by at St. Elmo. I wasn't going to.
Nah.
But I got dragged into it, and then I was basically I wasn't forced, but I seen that T-bone in steak, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
I was like, I'm gonna take it back. Nah, you guys said that, and I was like, I'm gonna take it back to the crib. I was like, I'll see y'all in a bit, man. I'm good, love, enjoy. I started looking at that menu, and I was like, hey, man,
you're like, hold up a second. Absolutely.
Can't do it. I'm glad that you did, though. I mean.
Yeah, dude, it was a good time, man. There was plenty of it was such a cool experience, right? Because it didn't matter where you went. There's an NFL GM. There's a whole table of scouts. There's former players. There are guys who are playing right now. Like it was insane, dude. Like
here's the question.
Just like all the people that we met. Yeah, go for it.
I have a good question for you because this is going to be a good one because you've done both. And someone asked me this question. One's got to go. Ooh. Cover the Senior Bowl, cover the Combine.
Combine easy.
I think it's pretty easy. Yeah, I think I would do the Combine every year. The entire NFL world is there. And in the Senior Bowl, yeah, it's fun and there's people in from town. But no, everybody's in town for the Combine. Yeah, I would do the Combine 10 out of 10 times. And I mean, I love doing this bowl, and I'm going to do it as much as I can, But yeah, if I had to choose Combine, man, I'm sorry. That was different.
Yeah, it was different. And this is how, like, when it comes to the actual football, if I had to pick just solely based on scouting, I would pick the Senior Bowl because it's a lot easier to evaluate guys who are in pads and they're thumping and they're hitting and you're seeing the technique and you're seeing who handles those moments a little bit better. So from a scouting standpoint, I would say the Senior Bowl would trump the Combine in that regard. But what the Combine is, it's essentially like a convention for the NFL world to come together, watch these guys test. You get all the scouts with their stopwatches, but just like we would look up into the box and we saw the 49ers box right next to Seattle box. And who we see up there? We see Schneider leading up against his side of the box. And right on the other side, you got Adam Peters. And they're just chopping it up. They're just chopping it up, talking because our boxes are right next to each other. And you're like, what are they talking about? Like, what are they? What could they be talking about right now? But it's like that everywhere. It's like that everywhere. And although the Senior Bowl was cool from the scouting aspect, which I felt I could take away, like, oh, that's a gamer. That guy's not a gamer. Remember Michael Carter just pushing piles at what, like 5'7" or however tall he was. Like those, I think the Senior Bowl's like really good for that, like the football stuff. But there's so much other stuff that comes with the Combine that makes it hella fun, right?
Yeah, didn't we pick the right one to come to? And it's the same thing at dinner, right? Like I'll see somebody walk in and they're wearing a team shirt and like they'll sit like across from us and I'll just be like, I'm listening to Brad speak, but like my left ear is like I'm waiting to hear him.
He's not listening. No, he's like looking.
I was listening, Brad.
Antenna's up.
No, man, I'm just trying to hear something.
No, man.
Like I saw Les Snead came out of a building or whatever, and he's talking. He's like, "You're a draft picks," and I was like, "Oh," I'm gonna walk right back. He went right inside. I was like, "Damn it!" I was trying to hear what that man had to say. But yeah, that's the part of the fun too. But yeah, like seeing people that you look up to, being able to just talk with them and everything because you have that media badge. Like John Harbaugh said what's up to us for no reason. We got a chance to talk with Mike McDaniel. That was crazy. We almost got kicked out for making fun of Matt Fleur.
Tell him about your Mike McDaniel story.
Oh yeah,
tell him about your Mike McDaniel story.
Yeah, I think you were flying in that day, and he went to speak. He spoke right after John Lynch spoke. So we were there waiting for we were going to get there early for Lynch. So we're going through the the metal detectors that we put our stuff through, and I hear like the quirky voice behind me. I turn around, it's McDaniel. So, he comes through and I'm like, "Hey, coach, my name is Jason." And Jordan was like, "I'm Jordan." I was like, "We cover the 49ers and we just want to say congratulations and we're rooting for you." And he was like, "Oh, thanks, man." He was like, "You guys were all so nice to me and everything." I was like, "Look, I got to ask, favorite Mike Jones song?" And he's like, "Going clubbing featuring Paul Wall." He was like, "No question asked." And I was like, "Man," I was like, "That's great, bro." I was like, "You're awesome." He's like, and we were wearing our suits that day. So he's like, "You guys talking after me?" He's like, "Well, look at you two, or whatever." Like, and he's just a genuine dude, man. He was really cool or whatever. He gave us some of his time, and I was on his way to the podium. Really nice guy. But the best part of the Lynch press conference for me was afterwards. Someone asked a question, because Mike McDaniel had already gotten off. Someone asked a question about what it meant to him to see his coaches move on and get opportunities, and they specifically mentioned Mike McDaniel, and he said, one of the smartest guys I've ever been around, one of the nicest guys. I couldn't, basically effusive praise for Mike McDaniel. Didn't know that Mike McDaniel was right there standing there. And Mike McDaniel raised his fist and he's like, "Heck yeah, John." And he was like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Mikey?" Like the genuine connection that those guys had. And just Mike McDaniel is a blast, man. That was really one of the highlights of being able to talk with him. And he's just as funny as you guys think he is in press conference. That's not an act at all.
And I think that's what makes the combine so cool. It's just like all these guys that we see on TV all the time and we kind of put on a pedestal. When you're there, it's almost like that's just another guy. Hey, look, it's Mike McDaniel. Let's go say what's up to Mike McDaniel. Hey, Mike, what's your favorite? What's your favorite song from whatever Mike Jones? Like, and he just off the rip just drops that, dude. That's what is cool about the combine. Now you get some of that, of course, at the Senior Bowl, but everyone's at the combine. So that's what was really cool. I thought personally, just being able to move around that lower bowl with scouts, coaches, GMs. Again, I was sitting next to the Steelers GM. Jason had to tell me. I didn't even know. I was in my zone. I was watching players, and he's like, "Bro,
he was so
right next to the Steelers."
He was so angry at Jordan. He was so mad at Jordan, man. He answered that question and he lost on him. I can't talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. I was like, "Oh, damn." I was like, "Relax, Clint." Jeez, man.
Dude, so it was a blast, man. It was a blast. Again, it's not weird when you're asking these guys questions. It's almost expected at a certain point. So it was really cool. Again, being able to talk to guys like MJD, being able to talk to guys like Robert Griffin III, dude, that was just crazy. It's just the way these guys pull up and they just treat you like a normal person, and they're just like chatting it up with you, just like talking ball, just like we would talk ball. And it was just a really, really cool experience. So I want the original question. I gotta pick the combine over the Senior Bowl. It's
and hotter take about the combine. Don't move it, Indianapolis.
Yes.
Don't. Not LA, not Dallas. No. The setup is beautiful. The schematics are beautiful. The convention center here, Lucas Oil here. After you're done with media, you walk across the street to go watch the combine. You cannot plan it better than that. Do not get greedy, NFL. Keep it here. And the downtown area is literally 2 blocks away. All you have to do is walk, and then boom, you're in the area that you need to be. Do not do this. I promise you. Please don't do this. Keep it in Indy. I'm imploring you guys.
I think that's a great point. And they want to move it. And it sounds like they've gotten a lot of pushback for those same exact reasons. I think everyone's just used to it. They have, again, when we go back next year, we're going to have our routine. We already know where we're going to have to go, where we're going to have to fit in, all that kind of stuff. So I can imagine why no one would want it. And it was so easy, again, like you said, to get from convention to the stadium. And they don't really have stuff like that. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be even better next year. Again, I hope they keep it in that situation. Quick question about a move that the 49ers made almost last year. I think it was Deshaun Hamilton. The 49ers almost traded for him. Deshaun Hamilton, former Penn State wide receiver, drafted by the Broncos. 49ers almost traded for him, tore his ACL in, I think, the midst of the trade getting worked out. He cleared waivers. Do you think there's an opportunity for him to maybe find his way on a nice 1 year, prove it kind of deal with the 49ers?
100%. I mean, if you were already interested in that, then think about the discount now. You were about to trade an asset for him. I understand the injury is bad, but the 49ers love banking on guys like that can come back. I like Deshaun Hamilton a lot before the injury as well. It just felt like he never was able to carve out a role in Denver just because they have, what they have over there. So, and then the injury doesn't help. And also the quarterback play left a lot to be desired. So, I mean, I don't necessarily know if he was in the best position to show off his skills. Yes, I absolutely do. I mean, you're going to have a spot on this team for like River Craycraft, for like this person, for that person. Like, you had Travis Benjamin on the roster. How could you not want to look at somebody like that and see what you can get out of him, because he would fit in terms of the intermediate game very well, because I do like his game.
Absolutely. And I almost forgot. It's on the screen. We have to shout out the Jason Aponte for asking the very first question to John Lynch at his combine. Talk about legendary. Like legendary. You have John Lynch walk up to the podium and he's smiling. He's saying what's up to all the media folks that I'm sure he's, used to speaking to. But who was the first person to ask him a question? This guy. What a savage. Great work, Jason.
Yeah.
Great work. That was fun. I was hyped about that.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, I had practiced that question a bunch so I can get it out, right? Like, and I knew exactly what I wanted to say, what I was going to ask. I mean, I just think that John thought he was going to get a bunch of Jimmy questions. Trey Lance, is he ready? The Amazon questions obviously popped up. I didn't think he was going to get he didn't think he was going to get that Mike McGlinchey question right off the bat. And also, what I noticed during these press conferences, okay, we would go to some podiums and there would be 3 to 4 or 5 people. That's cool. Everybody gets their question and nobody's really talking over each other. But when John Lynch got there, it's kill or be killed in those bigger like press conferences. It is kill or be killed. Yeah. Like, can your voice be louder than the other person? You sometimes have to cut that person off. You may yourself try to get a question out maybe 2 and 3 times and get cut off by 2 and 3 different people. Just as the nature. And that's something that I learned. So as soon as like it got really quiet and nobody was saying anything, I was like, this is it. Like, I was like, I'm gonna be the loudmouth Turk. And that's why I just threw it out there and it worked. So yeah, man. That was a great thrill, man. And he was really cool to talk to, man.
Dude, I mean, talk about just really setting the tone for the combine. That was really cool, man. It really was, to be like, is that Aponte? Did you just ask him the first question?
Dude.
And it was a Mike McGlinchey question.
Dude,
of course, that hits me right in the feelings. So I'm like, hell yeah.
Corey Rush looked around the stand like, who the hell is that? Like, but we staked out that podium though for about an hour. Like, we made sure that we were going to be standing in the front. Me and Jordan, we were like, we are not moving. Like, you're not moving us. I even if I have to use the bathroom, I'm going to stand right here in front of everybody. Like, I'm not going to let this happen. So we made sure that after we spoke to Mike McDaniel, Lynch was going to talk 45 minutes after that. We walked right to the front, man. I had to.
Absolutely, man. Shout out you guys who are liking and subscribing to the video. Again, we're just talking about the experience right now. We'll eventually get into the actual prospects and things like that once we have some time to really dive in. But before we break, Jason, is there a couple names that stood out to you? Maybe 2 or 3 from the combine that you liked, maybe confirmed that you already liked, or stood out to you like, I need to go watch more of that guy.
You know what I'm gonna confirm some biases real quick. Let me do this real quick. Player Calvin
Yes,
Austin the
sir.
third. Talk
Ooh.
to me, man. I was trying to
Ooh.
tell you guys. In Mobile, man, and
Yeah,
it
you
was
were.
Nav who he's a YouTube subscriber of mine. He threw him out there to me, and I think it was Justin as well too. Like, yo, you need to watch Calvin Austin, or Justin. Shout out to him, man. He's always shouting out guys that like I get a chance to watch.
Yep.
But man, you saw the route running in Mobile. When you see the speed now, everybody's talking about his size, but those same people who love Calvin Austin, or who love Trent Taylor, you should be salivating over Calvin Austin at this point. Like, he's literally like turbo Trent Taylor. Like, that's what he is, man. And he
turbo
can
return
punts as well. Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to look at it. Like, don't look me in the face and tell me you thought that he was going to be a Pro Bowler 2-3 years ago. Nothing against Trent or anything like that. And say that you don't feel this way about Calvin Austin, who literally is like that profile, very shifty yards after the catch with more explosiveness. Like, so that's one guy that I was really happy about. Really happy to see Cole Strange actually test very well. I mean, if you guys haven't checked it out, he was on the 4th and Goal podcast with Javi, and he talked about, his affinity for outside zone and all of those things. Could be a fit. And a certain team actually, what happened? Why'd you make that face?
Breaking news. Not the news that we're thinking of.
Oh.
The 49ers have signed offensive lineman Jake Brendel to a 1-year extension.
Oh, okay.
Not the breaking news
don't
that
do
you
that,
were
man.
hoping
What the
for. Sorry, I had to get
hell,
that. I wanted to leave you guys hanging for a little bit. I had to get the suspense up, but yes, the 49ers, again, we're talking about Cole Strange, center out of Chattanooga, the guy that we all like.
Chattanooga.
Yep, the guy that we all like. He was wearing number 49 too at the combine. We're like, oh, it's a sign.
Starting to come together.
The 49ers,
and
as we are talking about it, keep rolling. Let me get this. Let me get this post out.
Scared me to death, dude. Yeah,
I know,
you got it. Oh God, yeah, Jesus. Perrion Winfrey, who I loved at the Senior Bowl as well too, man. I think he did a great job on his 40. I think he's going to be in the first round as well too. A lot of the Georgia boys got a lot of their props, and rightfully so, because of the way that they tested. But Perrion is like up there with them too, man. And I think that nobody's really talking about him in that way. I think he's going to be a dog when he gets to the league. Some guys that changed my thought or made me watch a little bit more. Thornton from Baylor. I mean, how could you not when you see that 40 speed? I actually watched an entire game of his at Baylor. He can be beat a little bit on press coverage. He's very fast though. I mean, sometimes he can lose it at the catch point, where like stronger hands will get to him. But I think that he's good with slants, and he's a big play guy. That was some of the things that I saw when I watched him play against, if I'm not mistaken, I picked the Oklahoma game. I just wanted to see what he looked like against like better competition. So he's a day 3 guy for me, but like that speed is something that I think he's going to get him drafted a little bit higher. People are going to try to tap into that athlete, and rightfully so. But he's got some things that he's got to clean up in terms of his route running. But I like him as a day 3 guy. I just think that he, after you see that speed, pushes him up to a day 2. Sauce Gardner did a great job of boosting his stock, man. I mean, when you start to see that 40 time and you're what he can do, I mean, it was crazy to watch. Trying to think of other people off the bat that I really was blown away with. I mean, obviously Christian Watson, when you see that speed, I mean, that's just on top.
That was a fun one.
On top of
fun to watch, man.
Right. On top of testing so well, on top of being, a very nice young man, he always gives up his time. He sure is probably interviewing well. So just a lot of guys that we had already been looking at. I was looking to see how they performed, and some of them just didn't disappoint. So I mean, it's just a blast. It's hard to watch everything and talk about everything too, man. It's like I get distracted quickly, like with other things as well. So yeah,
that's one of the hardest parts. I would say one of the things too that we learned is they're not going to shout out names and they're not going to show times. So it's kind of hard to track those things. I can't see.
It says, why did Brad have to do that, man? Had my heart skipping a beat. Same. That was same, bro. This guy, man, ridiculous.
Hey, I know what power I have in my hands. I know.
When you hit the, I was like, what?
If
it does happen, what are you gonna do?
Come across. Oh, I don't know, dude.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna freak out.
What are you gonna do if it does happen? Like if we stick around,
I'm gonna run around the block. I have no idea. It's just gonna be like, they did it. They traded Jimmy. Like it just feels like it's been a foregone conclusion, but it also just feels like, man, is it ever going to happen? Like, it just feels like when it happens,
close the book.
It happens, and I'll believe it. But until then, it just feels interesting. But yes, I apologize.
Definitely just play with me and everybody else. No, you don't.
I apologize, but I did it on purpose, so I don't apologize.
Yeah, exactly. You apologize for absolutely nothing. Yeah,
I apologize for having fun with you guys.
We talked extensively about football. Let's give the people what they're really here for. The Batman discussion. Okay, guys. I watched it.
I haven't watched it yet.
I know. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just kidding, man.
You watch it. You watch your mouth, young man.
I've seen it twice, and I've been playing the soundtrack over and over like it's a hip hop album. It's got some slappers on there.
Yeah. So I still need to see the new Batman. I'm not gonna lie, the Seattle Has Fallen movie has definitely been at the top of my box office. Been excited to watch that. We got a Mav saying Wason Waponte still on the Calvin Austin bandwagon. Plus, you're not finna say you almost got kicked out and skip over it.
That's true. I definitely did get almost kicked out by Matt LaFleur. Me and Jordan joking around making dodgeball references. He turned and gave us a death stare. They were about to kick us out of the media room for that one. Cram it up your cram hole, LaFleur.
Cram it up your cram. Dean says boycott Brad for playing with us. You can never boycott this ginger beard. I'm sorry. It's just never gonna happen.
Cook his ass.
You think
cook
you
his
can?
Ass, Dean. Cook it. Flame his ass.
You think you can? You can't flame a ginger beard. I'm already on fire, my fam. You can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm having a blast, dude. This is a lot of fun. Yeah, again, we both agree though. Like we're refreshing our phone to just see if that news is going to come across, because I think we both believe Garoppolo could be traded at any minute, any second, correct?
Yes, hopefully. I mean, here's what's going to happen. Prediction. I'm going to go drop off my laundry. And as I'm driving to drop off my laundry, it's going to happen. I'm going to get stuck in traffic. I'm not going to be able to get back in front of the computer to do this reaction show. And I'm going to have to tweet through it. But yeah, I mean, it should happen soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's probably going to happen. You know, knowing us, we're going to get off the stream and then boom, we're going to be like, damn it. But we're going to find out what's going down again. Sorry for the scare, but the 49ers did sign someone. It was center Jake Brendel to a 1-year extension. Personally, I like the move. Brendel was someone that I was mixed on into training camp, but he proved to me he could be a very viable option. If Mac were to go down, he can play guard as well. So I like Brendel, and to get him probably on a very manageable 1 year, that's fine. We can live with that. So it gives them some flexibility. Again, trying to maneuver what's potentially going to happen with Lakin, what's going to happen with Brunskill, what's going to happen with McGlinchey. I like it. It makes sense. But that's pretty much what we got right now. Until then, Jason, anything else you want to end on before we get out of here?
Nope, just everything's starting itself in motion, and kudos to the NFL. The NFL truly is a year-round sport, and there is no break. It just depends on how hardcore you are with it. But when you really break it down and you think about when the last game was played in the Super Bowl and how quickly the new league year, the combine, and then boom, it's the draft in April, and then you got free agency during that time, and then all of a sudden it's training camp. So it happens fast, man. It's always it's two things that never work in McDonald's: the Wi-Fi and the ice cream machine.
They cooking me, my boy.
Man,
they cooking me.
Flaming you, man. Damn,
I'm
serves you
flamed. Right. I love it though. I deserve it, and I appreciate it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Yes. They're kicking me off the McDonald's Wi-Fi. It's happening. I'm just gonna go over to Dollar Tree. It's fine. So nice. I'm shifting. But tell the good people where to get more Mr. Jason Aponte content. Let me get this out the way.
At Jason Aponte 2103 on Twitter, Jason Aponte on YouTube, getting close to 6,000 subs on YouTube. Appreciate everybody on there. Past 10K on Twitter at the Combine. Let's cook. But yeah, tonight, if something happens, you can expect an instant reaction show and a lot more stuff going on. Obviously tomorrow I'll be on Grant Show. It was Grant Show last week from the Combine, and more sprint right option coming. And a lot of stuff that I'm excited to share with you guys, and definitely starting to get into these prospects now. So you can expect a little bit more, on Twitter about what I think about them, or maybe some videos on YouTube or videos for my Patreon people who've stuck with me too. So, make sure that you're tapped into everything. We got a lot of stuff going on. And also, if you're trying to join that spicy squad, that join button's right there on my video. And when we start doing call-in shows, you guys will get the first preference to jump in and chop it up with me on the show. So excited to bring a lot of content to all you people.
Absolutely. Make sure you tap in with Jason, subscribe to his channel, follow him on Twitter, and get into that spicy squad. Shout out my homie Jason, resident mod squatter. He says, appreciate all the work you fellas do. Enjoyed seeing you guys visit the Combine representing the spicy sourdough squads. Brad, it was sick seeing your conversation with RG3. Jason, thank you for getting bro to the steakhouse.
That man was pretty excited. Like, of all the developments, like, I had not seen him glow about a player, an interaction that he had with a general manager in front of, like, that. When we started talking to steak, you should have seen these boys'
get the
eyes
bone-in
light up,
steak.
Man. It was, bro.
It's a wrap.
Like, Jordan was like, fantastic steak, fantastic.
Fantastic. Anyways, shout out to all you guys who vibing with us, who've been on this journey with us for a better part of a year, man. For us to go from the Senior Bowl where I first met Jason, now we're at the Combine. Stonks to the moon, Jason, and we're going to keep it rolling. We're just getting started. This is just the beginning, and so we appreciate all of you. Go ahead.
Nah, you know what's next too. You know what's next, and that's next month. So, I mean, if y'all trying to kick it, man, you know where to find us at the draft. So
we're going to be there, and we're going to be representing as always. Draft is next. That's the next event on the schedule. I cannot wait to see. Look at Justin the GOAT. He says, you two are legends. Take my money. Jace or Justin. Jason. Too many J's, man. All the J's stonks to the moon right now. I appreciate all you guys. You guys take care of us, and we really, really do appreciate it. So, as you know, Jason and I will be doing content. Feels like forever. We're just going to keep going. So we'll see where it takes us. But again, appreciate everyone in the chat. Vibed with us. Smash that like button on your way out. Hit that sub button. Ring that bell. And you're going to get a lot more 49er content coming at you. Appreciate you all. Stay tuned. We think the trade's coming soon. So we'll see. Appreciate you all.